Hello all, this is James Johnson, aka Sulfurblade, and I'm here with another entertainment-focused video where, we're going to touch on some of our three favorite topics: Star Wars, Star Trek, and Captain Marvel. Well, Entertainment Weekly and Brie Larson believe that the future is female. Kathleen Kennedy believes that the Force is female, and Star Trek Discovery believes that, Burnham and Tilly are the only people that can save the day. I guess Star Trek is female too. Where are we in the entertainment industry? How have we gotten to this point where everything is a feminist message and our entertainment is being hijacked and ran off a cliff? There is some good news. Ghostbusters 3 is coming out with the actual cast, and maybe it can resurrect the damage that was done to Ghostbusters with the travesty that was Ghostbusters 2. But that's yet to be seen. So right now, we are looking forward, or are we looking forward, to the release of Captain Marvel this month. And Captain Marvel is set to release anywhere between 80 million and 120 million. Those are the current estimates, even though as of 6 months ago they were estimating in the ballpark of 180 million. I'm interested to see what Captain Marvel does gross. Because there's a bit of a difference here between Captain Marvel and The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, we had a hunch that the Force was going to be female, but we didn't actually have the knowledge of what that would extend to becoming. And so many of us were hit rather without expectations of what would happen. But with Captain Marvel, thanks to Brie Larson and her wonderful marketing, she has proudly told us what Captain Marvel will be like. So with The Last Jedi being something we may not have gone into knowing, we do know what's coming down the pike with Captain Marvel. We do know it's going to be a feminist agenda first and quality entertainment second type movie. So will it gross anything as high as The Last Jedi did? Which I think The Last Jedi was somewhere around 150 million opening, that is. And that's what we're talking about in these numbers. I don't think so. I definitely think that closer to the 80 million ballpark is probably more realistic. And this might be strange for me to... No, this isn't strange for me to say. I'm just going to say it. I hope it grosses less than 80 million. Why? Because unlike Star Wars, I don't have any kind of fan bond to Captain Marvel. Never read the comic, never looked at the comic, don't care about the comic. From what I understand, the comic is actually a black woman, which is kind of comical. That a white woman has somehow taken a black woman's job on the big screen. I think maybe there should be some messages written about that and how unfair that is. I mean, obviously, we've got a bit of racism going on here. If a white woman has taken a major role portrayed by a black woman in the comic books away from her, what gives? What's up with that? I don't understand. Where's the condemnation for this? It's funny how the media is silent about that. So, with Captain Marvel coming down the pike, we've kind of forgotten, thanks to Captain Marvel maybe running some sort of distraction campaign to keep us away from looking at Star Wars Ep.9. We haven't talked about Star Wars Ep.9 much lately. This is from what everyone considers Kathleen Kennedy's final chance to retain her job. We've got J.J. Abrams sounding like he's doing major damage control. I've heard talks about there being Grand Admiral Thrawn in this. I've heard talks about bringing in Darth Plagueis. I've heard talks about Obi-Wan being in this. I've heard talks that they might somehow show Snoke and Darth Sidious in this. Yeah, there's lots of big talk, but there's too much big talk. If any of this stuff is put in, well, how much can they logically put in? And I've even heard that they brought Lucas back to explain to JJ how Skywalker should be, how to do Skywalker properly, which is interesting because Luke's dead. So if we're going to go and do backstory of Luke to repair what the last idiot did in the last movie, then, well, how much time is left for this movie? How can you put all this stuff in? How can you have a Grand Admiral Thrawn? I've heard Mara Jade is going to be in this, whether or not she's called Mara Jade. So we're going to look at the backstory of Luke with possible Mara. We're going to look at seeing Darth Plagueis and how he fits in with Darth Sidious. We're going to look and see the Knights of Ren. There's just too much crap that has been hinted at, that there's no way all of it can be true and actually have a plot that's coherent. If all of that stuff takes place, we're going to have, well, an episode of Star Trek Discovery where 14 different plot lines are happening and none of it makes any fucking sense. But I'm afraid that that's probably what's going to happen. They're going to not really have any plot. They might have the bare bone, most minimalist plot, and the entire movie is going to be nothing more than showing people from canon. Here's Grand Admiral Thrawn in his 5-second cameo. Here's Darth Sidious and his 10-second cameo. Here's Darth Plagueis and his 10-second cameo, and so on and so forth. And it's going to be a movie of just cameos. and all of the fans are going to be walking out being like, oh my god, can you believe Grand Admiral Thrawn was in this? Oh my god, we saw Darth Plagueis and blah 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 blah, and yet there was no story. I could imagine something like that happening. Why did we like the original trilogy? Because they actually developed the freaking characters. Why did we like the characters? Because they went through diversity. Luke actually had to go through trials and tribulations. Han Solo had to go through trials and tribulations. They all went through trials and tribulations. And they overcame all of the problems put in their way, all of the hurdles put in their way to eventually win the day. And that's why we love the original trilogy, because it was a good cast with good acting. And sure, the special effects were nice and all, but my god, you think I watched Star Wars for the special effects? No. Were the special effects cool? Heck yeah, they really were. But it was the fact that there was actually a cast of actors that did such a remarkable job that brought it all to life. That's why the original trilogy was good. And that's why the second trilogy suffered so badly, is because there was no character development. It was all special effects. It didn't catch the imagination the way the first trilogy did. And then we have Disney. And while I was okay with Episode 7 because it was kind of a reskin of Star Wars, it felt like a good way to maybe pay tribute to the original Star Wars and maybe start the Star Wars story anew. Well, The Last Jedi was complete and utter and total shit that ruined all of my favorite characters. But yeah, so the Force is female. Thank you for that. We appreciate you, Kathleen Kennedy. Thank you for ruining Star Wars. Brie Larson. Thank you for ruining the MCU universe. I actually like the MCU universe. There's so many MCU movies I've really enjoyed through the years. And God, I hope that Captain Marvel doesn't sink the MCU the way The Last Jedi sunk Star Wars. And then we have Star Trek Discovery, boldly crashing the way no Star Trek has crashed before. Oh, so next week we get to see Mikey Spock and fake Spock travel to where it all started for Star Trek, to Talos 4. The planet where the very first Cage pilot was filmed on, where we saw the Menagerie and the Menagerie 2, two of the most important episodes of the original series. And we're going to go to that hallowed ground next week with Mikey Spock and Fake Spock and wreck all Star Wars canon and continuity. We're going to blow it right out of the sky because that's what Star Trek Discovery does. And that's where we are in our entertainment space. We have Star Wars Episode 9 coming down the track, where Kathleen Kennedy's job is completely on the line. J.J. Abrams is in complete panic mode, trying to bring in anything and everything that's ever been remotely hinted at being Star Wars into the show in some strange mix-max goulash of fan service, which I suppose will be better than The Force is Female. If it's done coherently, might even be an enjoyable movie, but I'm not going to get my hopes up. And then next week, or is it next week already? When Captain Marvel releases, we get to see just how far it does bomb at the box office. It's going to be a rough year for Disney. If I was Disney, I would just cut my ties with Brie Larson. I would write her right out. Get rid of Brie Larson and take her best friend and make her the new Captain Marvel in the follow-on movies. Just completely refilm it all and give her the boot, fire her. That's the best thing Disney could do, I think, as far as Captain Marvel is concerned. And well, we all know what the best thing is Disney could do for Lucasfilms, and that's fire Kathleen Kennedy. She needs to go. She needed to go last year. She needed to go 2 years ago. She's way overdue for getting the boot. And then Star Trek Discovery, well, those two ladies right there. Well, Tilly I actually liked in season 1. She's only become really annoying this season. So the writers that have been ruining Tilly this season, they need to do a course correction, and maybe they can save Tilly. But Burnham, she just needs to die in a tragic accident. Goodbye. Get Burnham completely off the show. Maybe a shuttle accident. Her and Vok Tyler could, slam into the side of an asteroid, and you could get rid of 2 of your huge problems with Star Trek Discovery in one shot, and maybe you could turn that show into something worth watching afterwards. But hey. Anyway, this is where we are, guys. And I'm not even talking about Doctor Who yet, which I could talk about. Yeah. So let's look forward to Ghostbusters 3. Let's look very skeptically towards Disney and the upcoming Lucasfilm of Episode 9 of Star Wars. Let's completely avoid Captain Marvel. Don't waste your money seeing that political feminist trash. And then Star Wars Discovery, which has been renewed for season 3, if you can believe it. Let's hope that it continues to keep making the baby steps it's been making. It has actually been improving here and there. It takes 3 steps forward and then 2 steps back, and 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But overall, season 2 has been an improvement. But it hasn't been a rapid enough improvement. But maybe season 3 can fix it to the point to where it's not a complete embarrassment on the Star Trek IP. But I highly doubt that's likely. But yeah, that's where we are in the entertainment industry. And so this has been my update video on these topics. So let's look forward to the upcoming Ghostbusters. And I forgot to talk about Orville. Oh my god. The last 2 episodes of Orville, part 1 and part 2. Wow. Orville is like the one shining light in the sci-fi universe that keeps me from breaking down into tears. With Star Wars being killed for me and Star Trek being killed for me, the Orville has come along and it's been amazing. Wow. So I can't say enough good things about the last 2 episodes of the Orville. Holy, holy, holy crap. The Orville has been out of this world this season, and the last 2 episodes have been Seth MacFarlane's magnum opus of a show that's really becoming the premier science fiction show in Hollywood. I mean, yeah, it's at this point the Orville is well ahead of Star Wars and Star Trek for me. Yeah. Stargate hasn't ever been ruined for me, so I don't know if the Orville has quite surpassed Stargate, but there if I would have ranked the powers of science fiction 10 years ago, Stargate would have maybe been third or fourth even after Star Wars and Star Trek. And then you also have to talk about Battlestar Galactica thrown into that mix. And of course Doctor Who. But now with the destruction of Doctor Who, the destruction of Star Wars, and the destruction of Star Trek, Stargate's like jumped up to the top of the list as being, the one science fiction IP that is number one right now in my mind. But the Orville is quickly catching up to maybe surpass it all, especially if it keeps putting out quality content like the last two episodes. We just were so treated to watch. Oh my god, Orville, hashtag awesome. But yeah, so that's where we are in the entertainment industry around science fiction. I'm James Johnson. This is my channel. I hope you enjoy the content. If so, leave a like, subscribe, and until next time all, peace.